Hey everyone, decided to make my second video on the topic of magic, evil eye, and jinns. So Islam overall is not a superstitious religion. In fact, it prides itself on being, a very rational, a very logical religion. However, it does have some major problems, major superstitions in it, which I think are very, very big. And this would be the idea of evil eye, the idea of magic, and the idea of jinns. Starting off with evil eye, this is the most simple one. The idea is that by desiring someone else what they have, something else that they have, by wanting, by being jealous, by having envy about someone else, you can harm them, you can cause them some sort of, loss. And I'm gonna read a hadith just to explain this idea best. The idea comes, it's in the Quran, it's in the hadith, and I wanted to just read it to you. And I'm reading from my blog here. I've quoted all of this on my blog. So in case you don't understand what I'm saying, head on down to my blog and you'll be able to, understand exactly what I'm saying. You can read it. Um, so it says, the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to seek protection against the evil of jinn and evil eye until Surah Falak and Surah Nas were revealed. After they were revealed, he took to them for seeking Allah's protection and left everything beside them. So before those verses were revealed, he used to seek protection from evil eye and jinn. So these are something that he used to worry about, used to bother him, evil eye used to bother him, jinns used to bother him, and he wanted to, seek protection. So he used to make dua for that. Until, Surah Falak and Surah Nas, Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq and Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas was revealed, and then he used to read those constantly. And there's a hadith where there was a companion, and this hadith is in the Muwatta of Imam Malik, but you can find, many hadith like this, where, the companions were traveling, and they did ghusl at a place called Qarar. And what happened was, while this was happening, one of the companions removed the jubba, and then Sahil was a man with beautiful white skin. Amir said to him, I've never seen anything like I have seen today, not even the skin of a virgin. And then after he said that, he fell ill. Somebody went to the Messenger of Allah and they told him, what happened, that this man, he said, wow, this guy has beautiful skin like a virgin, and then he fell sick. So Prophet Muhammad, he got really angry and said, why does one of you kill his brother? Why didn't you say, Tabarakallah? The evil eye is truth. It's haqq, evil eye, right? And then he said, do wudu, and then he did wudu, and then finally he was better. And this was reported in Imam Malik. So that's an example of evil eye. It's very common in Muslim cultures. You have this idea that, if someone's jealous of you, they can harm you, they can make your kids, sick, they can make you lose your job and your career, break up with your wife. And this idea is actually coming from, 7th century superstitious knowledge, and from Islam. Many people would never believe in this except for the fact that it's part of Islam now, and Islam says that evil eye is true. The other thing is the idea of black magic and jinns, and these two go together. Black magic involves, blowing on knots, tying knots and blowing them. It involves, taking dolls and putting needles in them, voodoo, and it involves, all sorts of these, creepy things. And none of this stuff is real. None of this stuff has any effect. There's a famous magician. His name is James Randi. He had a $1 million challenge. He said, if anyone can prove to me any sort of paranormal activity, either, speak to jinns, you can ask anything you like. You can just have to prove to me something that, we would not be able to explain. So, you have a jinn tell you something from outside the room and, someone's inside the room, whatever you like. Not one single person could win the $1 million. Nobody could do it. In fact, there's actually a joke. If you go online and you look up James Landy 1 million challenge, there's a video on YouTube where someone pretends to do it, and it actually was an April Fool's joke. So nobody was able to prove it. Like, nobody was able to demonstrate any sort of paranormal, supernatural activity. It's interesting. Like, I mean, $1 million is a lot of money. If someone wants to use some jinns and do this, well, the challenge is there. And let's look at what the Quran says about magic. The Quran says that magic was taught by two angels, Harut and Marut. So Allah gave the two angels, the concept of magic, and He told them, do not teach people except you have to warn them that it's a fitna. So Allah taught the angels magic to teach people. It's almost like it's a very strange story. So, I can just imagine the companions of Prophet Muhammad asking him, where did magic come from? They thought this was a real thing. And he said, well, I'll tell you guys. Harut and Marut, the angels, they came at the time of Solomon, Sulaiman alayhi salam, and they taught magic to the people. So now, these companions are like, oh, that's where magic came from. Okay, so what should we do? And, of course, he told them, well, just, read the Quran. This will protect you from magic. This will protect you from evil eye. And this type of concept was, it became part of Islam, unfortunately. The blowing on knots, Surah Falak says, you know, it's part of Surah Falak that you seek refuge in Allah from the blowing on knots, from the magic, from the envier of the one who envies, from hasidin ida hasad, the person that envies. And these things are just, honestly, they're not real. There's no such thing as magic. Like, if you believe magic tricks, you just have to do a little bit of research. You'll find that these are just tricks. These are just optical illusions. There's nothing to it. There's no devils. There's no jinns helping them. Like, it's just silly, right? And even, some of the hadith even goes and says that Prophet Muhammad himself was afflicted by magic. He used to forget things, and maybe he had some sort of dementia later in his life, or maybe he was had some other, maybe he just had old age and he was forgetting things. I mean, I can just imagine someone thinking, oh, there's a magic spell on me. And it's just the strangest story where he asks Aisha, do you know what happened to me? And she says no. And he said, Jibril told me that somebody threw something in the well. It had my hair on it and date pollen. And then she said, okay, did you take it out of the well? And he says, no, I sealed it up because it would be a big fitna for the people. And it's just such a strange idea. And it's like, maybe in the 7th century, thousands of years ago, 1400 years ago, people would believe in this stuff. But I mean, today we know there's no such thing as magic. We know there's no such thing as jinns, magical creatures made of fire. And what did Prophet Muhammad say about jinns? There's a lot of stories about jinns. He has one story where he's, praying, and then he reaches out and he grabs, this thing, and then after the prayer, he asks, the people ask him, what are you doing? What were you doing in the prayer? He said, oh, I saw a jinn and I choked him and I grabbed him, and I felt his spit on my hand, and if it wasn't for the dua of Sulaiman, that he would become master over all things. Or was it Dawood or Sulaiman? I don't remember. I would have left the jinn tied up to the pole of the masjid, and then you guys would have seen him, and he would have been there till the day of judgment. Like, these ideas, like these stories, or there's another story in the Quran where, he met some jinns. Basically what happened, he disappeared, and the companions got scared. And they said, what happened to you? And when he came back, and he said, oh, I went to meet some jinns. And he said, you want me to show you? And they went out and he showed them some fire and some leftovers of a campsite, and said, yeah, the jinns were here. I met them and they believed in me and they accepted Islam, and they said, I'm the messenger. So he told them about these magical creatures made of fire, that they have their own religion, they have their own animals, they eat dung, like they eat poop, and they eat bones. So he said, you have to say Bismillah before you eat. Otherwise, the jinns will eat from you. And when you say Bismillah, Allah will leave a piece of food for these jinns for them to eat. It's just, very strange things to believe in. You know, Nobody would believe in these things except for Islam and except for, superstition. And I feel sad that, the most smartest people, they believe in these things now. They believe in these things because Islam made them official and made them part of the religion. And, my hope is that by making these videos that people will really think about these things and realize that it's not real, that what, just think for yourself, ponder, is there such a thing as magic? Is there such a thing as invisible creatures called devils and jinns? Is there such a thing as evil eye? There's no such thing. And I hope that you will have some benefit from this video. Thank you.